the decision had to be made, and I was the one that made the decision. And there's certain criteria that we have to meet in order to be on our football team. And I don't know the ins and outs of everything, but in a situation like that, we can only go off the information we have, and then we make a decision and move forward. So, I would just ask that you guys don't ask the players about it, because it's a very difficult situation for them, and they only know what they read or what they hear. But I got all the information, was involved with all parties, and made the best decision that I could for Oklahoma State University, for our team, and ultimately, hopefully, for Tyreek. So this will be the last time that I comment on it, and hope for some way we can get to a conclusion on that. But there's not really anything else I can say at this point on his situation. So as far as the bowl game, we've had great practice, a lot of enthusiasm. Washington's a good football team. You guys know they're 8-5. They've lost to 5 good teams, good opponents. They're very well coached. A lot of respect for them. Multiple on offense, do a lot of different things. Defensively, they've done some scheming depending on who they've played. They've got a couple players that very, very highly regarded, talented. They can really run, can tackle, can blitz, can make some plays. And extremely multiple on special teams. Do a lot of different things on punt return, a lot of things on punt, kickoff. So we're looking forward to the game. We've had really good practices, as I've said. We have about 5 more. We'll take a day off tomorrow, and we'll go, I think, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, day off, and then I think Monday, Tuesday, before we let the players go home for the break. And then they'll meet us at the bowl site. Our health is good. We have essentially everybody. Koning should be back with us in a couple days. He's not practicing today, but he'll be back in a few days. Other than that, our health is really good, and so we're just looking forward to preparation and traveling out to Arizona.
I don't want to ask about the legal case or the criminal act alleged or whatever, but as far as your knowledge of it, was it the middle of the night phone call? Was it a first thing in the morning thing that was on your desk?
Well, I was aware of it pretty soon after it happened, but I couldn't be involved very much until the next day.
I mean, you've been a head coach for 10 years, and you've been coaching for 25. I mean, in terms of bad information or bad phone calls, did it just knock the wind out of you?
They all do. It's you come off of a certain feeling, and then you have an incident like this, and it just makes it extremely difficult. And we try to stress as much as we can to these guys, Bill, that there's just certain things right now that society frowns upon. And I don't know if I'm right or not, and I don't know what happened exactly. I only go off the information I got. And then we have to make a decision. And, we tell those guys, if there's any kind of conflict, you have to run. You have to run away. And so it's just unfortunate, but I was aware of it that night, and then the next day tried to gather all the information as much as possible to make a good decision, and it takes some time. It's not easy to get things like that, and finally that night at 7 or 8 o'clock, I was able to get all the information and made a decision.
Was it a tough decision for you, looking back at it?
Well, the decision's not tough. It's an extremely difficult process to get to the decision, but the decision had to be made. It's not easy, and it's one of the most difficult things that I do as a coach, but ultimately somebody has to make a decision.
With all that's going on in sports in recent months, Mike, it seems like, I assume you and every other coach in America has used it as a teaching tool, all that's happened in the summer and spring and since then, but is it something you're just going to have to keep dropping on your guys?
It's such a delicate issue, and it's such an unfortunate situation that I feel for the young lady, and I feel for Tyreek. And again, we've all been at that age and had disagreements with our girlfriends or whoever it may be. And it's really hard to answer that question. I'll try to do the best I can. We educate our players and we talk to them, and very seldom does a week go by that I don't tell them twice during the week that they have to be aware of those situations, and no matter what the temperament is or what your temper is or what her temper is. If there's anything that happens, you have to walk away, and then you have to run and stay away. And there's really nothing, there's no other way to handle it. And I'm not saying it's easy. I only know the information that I have, but yes, we try to do the best we can to educate the young people.
We talk about how much you're going to miss him on the field.
Well, certainly. He's a very good football player for us, did a lot of things. But we have other guys that will step up. We have guys that will return punts, guys that will return kickoffs, guys that will make plays on offense. And one thing I've said is, Oklahoma State football will go on forever now to the point we are where we've got this program with or without me, with or without Tyreek, with or without anybody on our team. And so the other guys will step up. And it's hard on the players now. I mean, everybody liked Tyreek, and we still do. And you almost have to pick a side, and it's not fair. But we have players that can step up and make plays, and they're expected to compete and play at a high level in the bowl game.
How difficult is it on your team? Can you gauge on how difficult it is for them to sort of deal with this in terms of getting ready
Very
to play,
difficult.
Considering he just made one of the biggest plays in school history,
Right.
and then 5 days later you hear this?
I think it's not getting ready to play. They're fine. They're practicing really well. Ogball said, he was just lost for words, and I think that's really where we all were, is really lost for words. But their preparation and their excitement about the game has been excellent.
So the energy bounce you might have gotten from Bedlam, was it, maybe for a day or two, it got sapped by the situation, but has it been restored today to where it might have been right after the game?
That's another difficult question. The energy level we got from that game has not been diminished. It was just a shot in the gut for all of us. And you guys, I think the best way to illustrate it would be that you have to image it being one of your children, and something like that happened, and then you're a parent, and you want to do what's best, and you need to do what's best, and there's really not an answer in a situation like this. So it's just gut-wrenching, but the excitement level that these guys have, not necessarily for that game, but to win 6 games and go to a bowl like everybody's talked about, is pretty high at this time.
Mason Rudolph, just where is he today versus where he was before you moved there? Is it just
Further
night and day?
along. Mason's got a long ways to go, but whenever you're in charge, which he is now, the offense, then things happen for you. It's a little bit easier to make plays, and adjustments can be made scheme-wise based on the strength, and he's improving. It's confidence. You hit a good golf shot, and you feel like you can hit another good golf shot, and same thing with football. And and Dax, I have to say this. Dax had a tough 5 or 6 game, took a lot of hits, and he's been tremendous in his work ethic and what he's done. And we're very appreciative of where he's got us. And his work ethic, but Mason's improved considerably over the last 2 weeks.
with the way you played better at Baylor and you played better at OU on the offensive line, and you've got some young guys getting more snaps now, you feel better about that group overall than
Yes.
you did before?
Yes, they're improved.
When you're a young quarterback and you win a game like that on the road in a tough environment, what does that do for your confidence?
You're never sure about confidence of a young player, and it's really early in his career, so I hate to put him in a position that people can start to take shots at him, but he played in 2 tough environments, and his demeanor and his approach was pretty impressive in my opinion, and I can only imagine that it helps with his confidence when he's in front of the team, when he walks over here, when he's in the locker room, and all those places where good players develop a relationship with their team.
When you're down 2 touchdowns, a few minutes to go, it's tough to come back in that situation, and it seemed like he was never frazzled and made a bunch of plays at the end. What do you think that says about him and his potential as a player?
Well, that was the word on him when we recruited him and when he committed here, was that he would be a better player in the game than he would be in practice. And so as coaches, you're always somewhat hesitant to buy that because you kind of want to see it. But he has competed, shown signs of toughness, and has been pretty steady in making decisions and listening and learning. He's been a little too aggressive at times, but that's part of it. He wants to be the guy that makes that play, but that's only natural. We have to coach that out of him and teach him to take what they give you.
On
Mike-
third down in the overtime, was he suggesting a pass there?
Yes,
How'd that conversation go?
I told him he lost his mind.
Mike, Bill asked about the offensive line. Washington's got 3 All-Americans in their defensive front. Baylor to OU challenges. This may be the biggest challenge for that young group.
They're a good team. They're good pass rushers, and they've had success. I think this is one of the best matchups in all of the bowl season because they've improved considerably over the last 5 weeks. We've improved considerably over the last 3. So I think it's going to be a really interesting game. I think that if we were just starting the season right now, Washington would be a team that people would consider in the top 30. I don't necessarily know if we'd be up in that category right now, but they've improved and we've improved, and that's why I think it's a really good matchup.
Mike, is it too early to tell how much of taking out the Tyreek Hill, how much of a boost you got, not just from winning in Norman, but the way you won it, down 14 with 7 minutes left, and you come back and win it and sort of dominate overtime? Is it too early to tell what this did for this football team?
No, it did a lot.
What can you
Just-
explain what it did?
Well, just the approach and them pushing through. At halftime, I got on them a little bit because I thought that they were soft and they were letting the running back punish him. And I know he's a good player, but we weren't as physical as we needed to be, and they accepted the challenge. Some of them were veteran players that knew better than that, and them to continue to play. And but the spirits and the attitude that's been lifted from this game, it's never too early, and you can certainly tell the results of a win like that for these guys in the seniors. Those guys that deserve to be here for another month, and we're going to get 12 quality practices in, and we're letting the young players work a lot, and their enthusiasm is good, and so it's been a huge lift for us. Could very well be as big a win for us as since in my career here. When we won at Missouri, we were 8th or 9th in the country, but this was a big win for us just to kind of get them over losing 5 games in a row. The mature players on this team haven't lost like that, so it was a really big win for our team.